welcome to episode 18 of the Blokebusters podcast. And I'm Brian.
And I'm Paul. Almost forgot it again, did you?
Almost. Today is, what is today? Today's June 8th, is that correct?
It's
June 8th.
June 8th,
yeah. Yes, it's Saturday, June 8th, 2013. And today we're going to be discussing Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh.
No colon.
Not at all.
There is no colon, so it is Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah?
That is what they're doing.
Go
ahead, sir.
I was going to say, I heard that the reason they did that was that they were arguing about it because they said everything that comes after the colon is just uncool. So they just did away with it.
Well, then you shouldn't have a pause there.
Yeah,
people are saying it wrong if you're going Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah, Star Trek Into Darkness.
that's it. It rolls right off the tongue. Before we delve into that, let's get a little business out of the way here. If you want to contact us, and please do anyway.
Yes, please do. No matter what it is.
Got a couple of emails for you. We have the Blokebuster podcast, Blokebuster podcast at gmail.com. No S. Or contact at Blokebusters with the S .me. Also, easiest way, hit us up on Twitter at Blokebusters.
Yeah. And, well, we do also have the Facebook page. Where you can
Facebook,
probably
yes.
guess what follows. So Facebook.com there.
/Blokebusters,
Yeah.
yes. And, if on the Twitter there, you can probably, if you so desire, you can probably figure out how to stalk either Paul or myself. Yeah. we appear on there regularly as ourselves, I think.
And we do try and do a sort of semi-regular quiz thing as well, a quotes quiz thing. That we're trying to start off a phenomena, and so far it's not really going, but...
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, so Star Trek Into Darkness.
All right, well, I unfortunately don't have the summary up here, but I will just very quickly say that it is obviously following on from the previous one, and it starts off on a bit of a bad note for Kirk. He ends up, through some mishap, losing control of the Enterprise, and he then very promptly gets it back.
Yeah, he's not down on his luck for a long time there.
Not really. I mean, obviously, Kirk not being in control of the Enterprise isn't overly exciting and what people want to see, but whatever. And then this mysterious John Harrison guy turns up and pretty much shakes up the entire world.
You could say that.
Yeah. Yes, you really could. And the mission is to get him back or kill him, depending on who you're listening to. And then mishaps ensue, as they always do in these films.
Comic relief, action, lasers.
And I'm sure we'll get into the spoiler that everyone figured out anyway.
Yes, and if you didn't figure out, you had been spoiled for you already by a friend that went to see it before you.
Basically, big twist in the film is John Harrison is Khan.
Yes. Of course. I have one question for you. What did you think of the prologue, and specifically in comparison to the prologue of the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek film?
Well, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good way of getting you straight back into how this works and how Kirk is. I mean, if you don't know who Kirk is going into this film, you know who he is by the end of that prologue.
Yeah.
And, I thought it was a really good way of getting all of the characters back. How you only hear a sentence or two from some of them, but you really get who they are from that. So one of the best ways of setting up a film.
And you see how well they work together. Obviously growing from the first film. Yeah, they're just it's like a well-oiled machine, pretty much.
Yeah,
right. I will say I'm partial to the first one. That had so much. There was more tension with the baby being born, and And I still have a bias, like I openly admitted, towards originals or towards the first in a lineage of films. But I still think they delivered and got me excited for the film. Yeah, which is kind of what the object is of that,
Yeah, it did so very well. I mean, it's one of those films that you have to open big. Really, because everyone knows what Star Trek is, so you got to get everyone's attention at the beginning, and then you can slow down a little bit as they do. But I will actually say this film is fairly well paced throughout the entire thing. There's a very good mix of the big action scenes and then the more drawn out talky scene, but the talky scene do still hold your attention, especially when one particular character is on screen, and we'll get to that in a second.
Yes. I'm just guessing the most fantastic name I've ever heard. Is it that individual?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay.
Yes, one of the most English people you'll ever run into.
Yes.
Well, without the third at the end of his name.
Exactly. Or Sir at the front.
Which he needs, I think.
It's in time. Yeah.
Alright, okay, so getting into the nitty gritty, as we always do, directed by J.J. Abrams. The budget was $190 million, and the box office, as of I think about 2 days ago, is $334,081,718.
Now that's worldwide, right?
That is, as far as I could tell, worldwide.
And did you remember the domestic? Have they made their? No, probably haven't made their money back yet.
I didn't see the figures for that when I was looking for it. I just saw the worldwide one,
which I think we can agree is a little underwhelming. For the product.
Yeah, I mean maybe it's just one of those films that will almost certainly make a lot more money on DVD.
Yeah, see, I don't even know if they're overly concerned with it, because it's going to kill on Blu-ray and it's going to kill on demand.
Yeah, I went to see it in IMAX, and first IMAX I ever have seen, and number one, wow, it's loud.
That's kind of the idea.
All right, this is coming from someone who is partially deaf. Wow, that was very loud. I don't think I would ever need the subtitles on that film. Everything's burned into my head now. But yeah, this was a film that was fantastic in IMAX, and the 3D was done right, like adding depth rather than coming at you. Although I think there was a point in the prologue again where they're throwing spears, and one of them kind of like zoom, it looks as if it's coming at you, but it was the sort of thing that I'm sure it still played okay in the 2D version. It was.
I do have a quick. So I did see it in 2D.
Right.
So how was the scene with? We'll just say John Harrison. Well, we've already spoiled it, right? Khan.
Yeah.
How's the scene with Khan and Kirk when they're in their like flight suits going through the asteroid?
Oh, that was good.
Was it good in 3D? Did that look pretty good?
Yeah.
I figured that had to be pretty. Well, I was watching this thinking, kind of, my feelings, regular listeners on 3D. I was kind of like, I kind of want this scene in 3D, because it was a really nice scene. And,
it had some fantastic dimensions to it when they were going. And you really got
his helmet keeps cracking, and
you really got the feeling of exactly how vast the space was and how astonishing what they were attempting to do was.
Yeah. Now, see, I do have a little problem with that, because once the helmet cracks, the integrity has been compromised, and you're dead.
You could always argue that it is, I guess, shatter resistant glass, whatever the thing would be, and space glass, where it can resist that even when cracked, but because there was no hole, it was just cracked. It was cracking. But
there was no time travel in this one, so I thank you for that one, which was my only issue with the first.
Yes, no boil your brain time travel.
Yeah, I'm like, oh wait, he's talking to himself again. There was that scene, but
they had. I really wanted them to somehow bring the old Kirk back, just to. I don't think they can, because it's such a different take on the character. I don't think he can. Well, that and the fact that the only old character to come from that timeline is the old Spock. There, as far as we know, there is no other way for other people to cross over anymore. And old Spock is now stuck in this timeline.
I mean, what would be nice is maybe a cameo where he's not himself. Just like, in the background there's Shatner,
or he maybe he's the new head of stuff,
or just see his head in one of the missiles or torpedoes. Holy crap, was that Shatner?
What, Shatner's a genetically modified human?
On Khan's crew? Holy crap! Yeah, that's a twist.
That would. Or maybe have the prize get AI implanted in it, and it's Shatner.
There you go. It's like, instead of Hal, it's Shatner. Yeah. I can't do this.
I can't do that.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
All idea is free, JJ, for the next one.
Well, yeah, free with possibly a little remuneration.
As I like to call him, JJ Lens Flare Abrams.
Yeah, true.
He's fond of the lens flare.
Yes, he is. Especially on a ship where you wouldn't think there'd be much lens flare since there's no sun. But no, he manages to bring it in.
Always that beautiful blue, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I my old Blu-ray player did have like a blue line that you could have lit on the bottom, and it looked just like a J.J. Abrams lens flare, so I called it my J.J. Abrams player. But yeah, I was so sad when that shit the bed, because I had to get rid of it. But yeah, like Super 8, one of my favorite underrated films of all time. Yeah, beautiful lens flares. Just saying.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There are good ways of doing lens flares, and then there might be a little bit too much.
He goes a little heavy, but I don't mind it. And I will say, like, I don't know. Maybe it was before we started recording, that these are the only 2 Star Trek films I've seen, the J.J. Abrams. Yeah. I know of others. I know just from pop culture references about some of them. Yeah. Mostly Spaced, I think, where they talk about the good ones. Does it. Yeah, where they talk about, what the even ones are good or the odd ones are good, whatever they say, and of course Khan, that's iconic.
Yeah. But I've seen the odd clip here and there.
Point being, I'm far from a Trekkie. Yeah. As far from a Trekkie as you can get, but still love these adaptations.
I must say, I do want to, at some point, I know that I keep saying it and I'll never actually get around to doing it, but I do want to at some point watch the original series and try and get into it.
See, I just know it's not going to measure up once I have this in my head.
Yeah.
It's like seeing a movie and then reading the book. It's already been cast for you, and then it's, then you're just like, I don't know. It's a little difficult to go work backwards.
Yeah, I might be able to get away with just doing the original Star Trek just to watch Shatner be Kirk, But yeah, I'm sure I would look at it and just be like, well, maybe I prefer this character to this. And speaking of characters, let's get into that.
Let's get into the cast.
So we have as Kirk, Mr. Chris Pine, doing a fairly good job at it, I'd say.
Yeah, I love his Kirk.
And we'll probably go through this quick. You've got as Spock, Zachary Quinto, who I said to you before, I've only ever seen on TV, and all of a sudden
I had not seen until these films. Yeah.
Scotty is a little unknown named Simon Pegg.
Well, you were just going all over the place here, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
This is Paul's cast order.
Yeah, I'm just sort of flinging through as I wrote them down. John chose Sulu. I was a little bit iffy when I heard that he was going to be Sulu in the first film, because I know the sort of stuff that he'd done before, and then I saw him in the first film and I thought, no, that's actually, he's taking it well, he's doing...
Yeah, and he's the right person for the right age.
And once again, didn't have a problem with him in this one. You have as Uhura, Zoe Saldana, who, again, I said to you before, I didn't realise who she was.
Ooh, doesn't matter who she is.
Yeah.
Uhura.
As Bones, you've got Carl Urban, who, of course, we have seen him in a film that we weren't too fond of. Do you remember?
Yes,
he was Dredd.
I had blocked that. Thank you, Paul, for bringing that memory back.
You don't have to think of the film. You just remember, he is the chin of
the
Dredd.
Chin, yes. Wonderful chin acting.
Oh, yes.
By Carl Urban. Damn it, I'm a doctor. Not a judge.
Oh, they should work that in somehow. I'm a doctor, not a policeman.
Not Judge Judy in Execution. Yeah, I am Judge Judy in Execution.
How we get the hot fuzz?
I don't know. Just a hot fuzz. That's how I go. Just straight to hot fuzz.
But speaking of which, another tangent. I am so looking forward to The World's End.
Oh yes.
Looking at it, it's definitely seemed quite out there compared to the fairly low key of Shaun of the Dead, and then you got Hot Fuzz, which kind of was low key just because it was in a little village. But
but then you have the whole fascist aspect to Hot Fuzz.
Whereas this seems to be a much bigger story overall. On top of the alien invasion type thing, and seems to be starring numerous fairly big English actors. I mean, you've got obviously Martin Freeman is in it, Nick Frost, You've actually got Mark Heap, who people will remember from Spaced.
Oh yeah.
As Brian, he was also in a show called Green Wing. Brian.
And another branch off that tangent, I will say, if you haven't, we aren't to our recommendations yet, but another alien invasion movie where Nick Frost is absolutely excellent, Attack of the Block.
Yeah. Yeah, I did enjoy that one.
Check that one out.
Yeah, it was a film where I heard about it and I thought, wow, I don't know what that'll be, and then I ended up seeing it. I was like, this is exactly what you think.
Yeah. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, very English.
Oh, yes.
If you don't really know much about England, you watch this and you get to see the suburbs of London, England.
Oh, yeah. The slang got a bit annoying with me, but I forget what they keep calling each other. I don't know, but it was a bit heavy, but for people like my roommate that hate accents, you're not going to like it.
No, yeah, and this is a very localized type thing, but yeah, good film overall.
We'll work our way back down to the trunk of this tree. And,
sure, alright. Chekhov, you got Anton Yelchin.
Yes.
Which is a lovely name. I like
another,
that name.
First saw Charlie Bartlett, which is, I think, a fantastic movie with Robert Downey Jr.
I think the first time I saw him, somewhat annoyingly, because I know he's been in a lot of stuff, is actually the remake of Fright Night. He was the main kid in that, with David Tennant as it. He's in it, and why am I blanking on the name?
It's Colin Farrell, right?
That's it, Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
I was going to say Colin Firth, and that is definitely not.
No, that would be interesting.
A very English.
Very dapper, very classy Fright Night. No, but yeah. No, I'm good. Yeah, moving on. Well, Did you get everybody? No.
I've written down two more. There was the Captain Marcus guy who I forgot to write the name down.
Peter Weller.
Peter Weller, there you go. Fantastic Peter Weller.
Yes, which I know from Dexter, who's awesome in Dexter.
Yeah, and was awesome in this film as well.
Yes, of course.
You got as Carol Marcus, and she had an alias, but I didn't write that down, Alice Eve, which my wife probably wouldn't like because two first names. She's not too fond of the two first names.
You can't trust people with two first names. Billy Joel, I'm talking to you. It's true.
Right.
Elton John, you're in there too, buddy.
You can't trust Elton John with anything.
No.
And then as, lastly on my list, John Harrison / Khan.
Really?
Mr. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay, well, but before we get into Benedict, I think you left one out there. Bruce Greenwood. As Pike.
Yeah.
I love Bruce Greenwood. He's awesome in everything.
Yeah, and, I knew there was another.
Spoiler, not enough Bruce, not enough Pike in this movie.
No.
He kind of makes it to that little council meeting, and that's about it.
Yeah, which...
And Khan kind of ruins that.
I will say, one of the notes that I wrote down, and I was thinking it during the film, and Kirk brings it up, they're always in the same room every time there's an emergency of any kind. Stupidest idea ever. What should we do? Let's bring all of the world leaders into this one room that they are always in. Every time.
With a giant window, nevertheless.
And no apparent security on the building.
Not a bunker. Even the president goes to a freaking bunker.
Yeah, really. But... whatever, yeah.
It's a plot device, but it
had to happen.
It was I thought a good scene. I didn't know how it was going to play when Pike is dying and Kirk is, obviously emotional because he is the father figure that Kirk never had.
Yeah.
And, the tough love kind of guy.
Yeah, the guy that brought him into the academy.
Yeah, so I thought that scene played really well, but I just wanted to give a little homage to Bruce Greenwood before we got to the main course.
Yes, sorry to Mr. Greenwood there.
Yes, so on to the most fantastically named individual on the planet.
Yes, John Harris / Khan, Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes, needs a sir in front of his name, really. Needs something.
He will be knighted in time.
This was... the main reason I was excited about this film, because having seen him in Sherlock, you know what he can play. And
he's got the chops.
Yeah, especially since this was a person who was supposed to be very cold and calculating. He's a terrorist. And then everyone figured out by that line alone exactly who he was and what kind of terrorist, but whatever. And it was a fantastic choice and a fantastic performance. And in case you can't tell, we just really like Benedict Cumberbatch.
And he was perfectly cast for this.
Yes, very much so.
I mean, even when he's in that cell, he's still frightening. Just the way he's so comfortable, just like being imprisoned, he knows he is winning still. Like, he is winning, he will win.
He's aware that he can and will get out.
Yeah, he's not there by their choice. He's there by his choice.
And, of course, there is the slight argument you can make that obviously he's a genetically enhanced human, and maybe he's too powerful, as it were. You got the, like, Superman problem of... You got all
how do you take down the unstoppable, yeah.
And luckily they didn't make him too over the top, because there were a couple of times where they were able to bring him down, as it were, albeit not for too long the first time. And getting into that, they have some stun guns that originally he gets shot once and he gets taken down. Mm-hmm. And then the second time they try and use the guns on him, he's shot about 4 times. And all that happens is he staggers a little bit.
Yeah. It's just an impact. Yeah. He's just the physics of an impact.
Yeah, sort of like, oh come on.
It's just a dart gun at that point. I don't know. Yeah, apparently his cells had mutated to defend against the stun or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, obviously they don't give us everything.
No.
Which is probably the best way to do it, because then anyone that comes up with, as we just did, like, how come he was able to...
The more reasoning you give, the more you can tear it apart. You know, so it's you just got to take some things on faith. It's science fiction, people.
Yeah. Yeah, we're arguing that in a film where people can go at light speed
and where there are not continuous lasers, and where the lasers make noise in space. And explode. Yeah.
Good old pew pew.
And beams of not a continuous beam as a laser gun would be, but whatever.
I once heard someone arguing how it would work, and I've forgotten it.
Well, they had a wonderful show on History Channel, not the most recent one, but one a couple years ago, that said, like, if you actually had a photon gun or whatever, it would need to be the size of, like, a skyscraper to generate that laser. Something like that. I don't know if that was exactly, but it's not going to be on your hip, needless to say.
Thinking back on it, I think the reason they gave as to why it isn't continuous is that you had to fire it in short bursts, otherwise it will overload very, very, very quickly. But at the same time, and again, speed of light, you wouldn't even see the damn thing. It was just, oh, there we go. There's a hole over there.
Not too great on the visuals, I guess.
I know. There's always a slight bending of... there was a show, it might even be Futurama, or it could be something else. There was a thing where, to get around the fact that no one can go faster than the speed of light was increased by scientists.
That sounds like Futurama to me. I don't know, yes.
just to make it possible that you could do this stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think it's one of those happening.
So anything else on Benedict?
I don't have anything here. The only thing I have relating to his character that I wrote down, which I thought was really on the nose, especially to me, and I'm going to guess to you as someone that understands film narrative and how this works, the whole tribble experiment. The second you saw him injecting that tribble with blood, did you figure how it was going to come back? Because he's saying, like, oh, this is a dead tribble. I am now injecting it with Khan's blood to see what will happen.
Yes. Well, I postulated, I don't know what happened in the other Khan film. I don't know if it parallels anything at all.
I can tell you, based on what I remember seeing clips and what other people have said, Khan ends up dying, and through that, Kirk also dies, and that is the end of Kirk. So this doesn't happen in the original.
I don't recall which scene was first, the treble scene or the Spock scene.
Treble scene.
Okay,
good. The injecting the tribble was first.
Okay, and then Spock says,
and then reanimated.
Because it definitely hit home when young Spock asked, "Do we win or are we victorious?" He said, "Yes, at great cost," and then. Light bulb appeared above head, and I said, Kirk dies. I said, Kirk dies, but not really. And because of the trouble.
Temporarily dies,
temporarily. Yes, so I had it figured out at that point.
Right. Yeah, because I saw that happen, and I was like, okay, someone's got to die.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason to attempt the reanimation of something if you're then not going to use that again.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, it's just a useless scene if it's not going to be... have some application.
I would have thought the best thing to do would have been to still have the Tribble on the desk and still have Bones with the thing, but not say a word about it. Just have him doing that, and that's it. And then when the Tribble comes back to life, have him say, like, wait, I injected that, blah, blah,
well, that's
blah.
for us. And you need the dialogue for the other 90%.
Yeah. As I said, we are people that really kind of get film narrative, and we know how these things are used.
Like, I thankfully, well, maybe not thankfully, but we didn't have the podcast at this point, but I absolutely hated Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Right.
But there's a moment where I can't believe I sat through that whole fucking movie. I'm sorry for the F-bomb, but in the theater, like, I've never left a movie. Came close a couple times, but that was one where I came close with the 40-minute bug scene and whatever, but the part I'm getting to where the eyes nearly rolled out of my head was when Kong beats his chest and then points at the sun or whatever it is, and Naomi Watts had already established how to tell him what beautiful is.
Right.
And all that needed to be done was beating the chest and pointing. I get what he's going for. Yeah. And Naomi Watts says, yes, it is beautiful. And it's that dumbing down to the common denominator that I absolutely hate, and that almost every film does. Not saying that Star Trek was just as ridiculous as that, but you know what those scenes I'm talking about, where if you follow the movie, you know what they're talking about. Yeah. And and I don't need it spelled out for me.
It's the
and I'm insulted that yes, it is beautiful. You're right. We told, remember, audience? She might as well turn the camera, break the fourth wall. Remember, audience, about an hour and a half ago when we established that I taught him what the word beautiful is and how to show it? Yeah.
It is the unfortunate dumbing down of cinema recently that...
To make it palatable to...
Yeah. To make it so that someone doesn't leave going, well, I didn't understand this one bit.
Yeah.
Everything needs to be over-explained. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because, I'd be walking out of the theater with someone in front of me going, I didn't understand what he meant when he beat his chest and pointed at the sky.
Yeah. What was that pointing at the sun thing? Was it hot? I don't know. I hate that sun.
I like oranges. Get me that giant orange. So, I had to get that one out of there.
No, fair enough. I wish that Hollywood was able to just have little things in the scene. You can still have him at the front of the scene just injecting the Tribble while the people beside him are talking.
Yeah.
And then later it comes back, and then maybe you could even wait 5 seconds, let the audience
have a line of dialogue in another scene, or
yeah,
so they can pick up on it later.
I mean, let's say have him inject the Tribble, and then say halfway through the film, have him say, or halfway later in the film, have him say something like, I'm performing a couple of experiments or something. Mm-hmm. Just an offhand comment, and then when the Tribble comes back, give the audience a second to figure out what's happened before then. Obviously, given the explanation that at that point would be needed, I suppose.
Yeah. Small gripe with a otherwise pretty damn good movie, I think.
Yeah, very, very good film. Very, for me, visually stunning film, especially in the IMAX that I saw. But I'm sure it was still good in 2D.
Yeah. And I will say this, it just worked out that I saw 2D. I was going to see the earliest showing after work, and it just worked out. The next 3D wasn't until 6 o'clock, and I'm not going to go see this on a school night or on a work night, when I got to get up at, 4 in the morning or something. I'm nah, heck with that.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then I was like, I might as well say, I'll save the extra $4 or whatever it was. But
yeah.
And it was still really enjoyable in 2D.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I mean, I'm glad that this was my first film in IMAX because they did it well. It wasn't gimmicky IMAX.
That's what I've heard from everyone that's seen it in the IMAX 3D, is that it was done very well.
I mean, it's one of those films of I kind of wish I'd seen one of the Batman films in IMAX, but this was fine as well. And so I guess my question to you would then be, do you think it was as good as, or better than, or worse than the first film? Where would you place it?
I would say it is in the same arena, same ballpark, whatever. Not quite as good as Star Trek, the first J.J. Abrams' first time out.
Is that at all because of your slight bias against sequels?
It is in part due to that. Although I will say I did prefer the narrative of the first film over this. Okay. Benedict Cumberbatch just, brought it up though. If he had not been Khan, I think I would have enjoyed the film. Yeah, but would have been a much less enjoyable experience. Not in the upper echelon where I put blockbusters, where I put entertainment of this value.
Yeah, thinking about that, I do think if Benedict Cumberbatch wasn't in it, if they found, say, a good actor, I'm not saying that there aren't other good actors out there and everything, but for us, I think because of how much we liked him in the shows we watched, without him being in there, then maybe I wouldn't put it up quite as high. Maybe the person playing Khan wouldn't have been able to pull it off quite as well as the sociopath that needed to play it. But I enjoyed this film more than I enjoyed the first one. Really? Maybe because they had already set up the characters and now they were running with those preset characters into this new...
And that's precisely why I prefer I like the character development that happens in the originals.
But that's the thing, the character development was really good in the original film. I just love seeing already established characters going on, because then you don't need that slight slow start to the film.
And that's you're able to... one of the gripes a lot of people had, I'll say, that I loved about the Avengers was that it took so long for them to get together.
I enjoyed that though myself.
See, it was like 45 minutes or so, or 50 minutes into the movie before they were the Avengers. You know, because you had to have each one's little story before it, and then it was like, it's like half the movie before the Avengers get together. It's called the Avengers, and but I liked that. I liked seeing each individual character.
I was okay with that, mainly because, let's say, you've got in Star Trek, you have all these people, they work together. Like, it starts off, they are the crew on this ship. The Avengers doesn't start off that they're the Avengers. They've got to become the Avengers. So that is the plot of that film. I'm fine with that. This is the second film. So if Avengers 2 starts with 45 minutes before they get together, then maybe I would have a gripe with it.
Well, they are disbanded kind of at this point,
Yeah, true.
As Iron Man points out.
Yeah. I'm sure it will only take about 15 minutes for everyone to get back onto Earth, though. Like, everyone will be together.
It's fine if Hawkeye's on vacation. We don't need him. Yeah. Don't need to call him. Don't need to disturb him. He can hang up his bow. I'm okay with that.
He can just be in the jungle somewhere. He'll come back at the end. What a miss.
Most useless Avenger ever.
I would... Now we're on the Avengers again. I would slightly argue that Black Widow in that film wasn't exactly overly useful, other than getting Bruce Banner.
Other than being in a tight leather outfit for the men who enjoy the film, so she does have more use.
Okay. Alright, other than the eye candy and of getting one of the other characters on board, she didn't serve that much of a real plot there.
Hand-to-hand combat's still cooler and sexier than a guy with a bow.
Yes, I will say she's more useful than Hawkeye, but really, when you think of the Avengers, you've got Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Captain America.
Yeah.
Like,
the rest is just...
Those are the real...
Yeah, the rest is just set decoration, scene dressing, whatever,
Yeah, it's like, Thor doesn't seem like big enough of a
Yes. Okay. So, I don't know. Shall we rate this film?
Sure, okay. I will go first with mine. I was thinking long and hard about this, and then I just thought of how much I love Benedict Cumberbatch in the film. And his acting, and it's not just because I like Benedict Cumberbatch. His acting is fantastic in this film. He does exactly what the character needed to be.
He's my favorite villain in many years, I will say.
Yes, and
other than I think The Dark Knight, who I don't think you're ever going to top that villaon performance.
Yeah, but I can see. That would be interesting, having the Joker against Benedict Cumberbatch's Khan.
Oh, wow. All right. Celebrity deathmatch. All right, good.
Let's bring that show back.
It's just to have Khan fight the Joker. All
right. So, how much I like the villain, how much I enjoyed just seeing these characters going further into this world, and I saw the homages to the original films there, and I didn't feel they were too shoehorned in. I don't know how much
So,
much
they
you know about it.
completely went over my head.
But
So
the whole Kirk dying in the reactor and then them putting their hands up in, I think, the second Star Trek film, possibly a little bit later, it's reversed. Spock dies and Kirk is there consoling him. They then bring Spock back.
So maybe that's what the line about "this is what you would have done" was about, or something. Because he did do it in the other.
Well, that's the thing. And then, of course, you've got Spock giving the line of "Kirk."
Yes. I was like, is he going to say it? Is he going to say it?
So, they were able to get the original film in there, but they just flipped the roles, as it were. They were able to pay homage to it and not duplicate it. As much as you want to argue. Whatever. So, I liked pretty much everything that they did with the film. I can't think of how I would have made it too much better. I'm sure that's...
Well, I'm glad it wasn't in your hands. I'm glad it wasn't very capable and J.J. Abrams.
Yes. Granted, I'm not a brilliant film director.
No, but yes, also he had $190 million to play with, so...
Yeah, true. That can get you get you a lot of lens flare.
That buys a lot of blue lens flares.
I'm probably going to go with... Overall, I might give it a negative 0.5. I was going to say 1, but I'm going with 0.5. Just because this is what I want from a blockbuster, at least.
It delivered on everything that you expect a blockbuster to have.
Exactly. And, on a personal note, I'd probably go with negative 0.3. I bump it up because of how much I like Cumberbatch and how much I enjoyed the stuff, but as a film body of work, I'll say probably 0.5.
All right, fair enough. And I will. I think it was an excellent second effort. I hope they're going to do a few more of these. I don't know. I'm hoping.
I think they have.
Hope they have a plan for one more. I
think they have at least a 3 or 4 film deal.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. But anyway, I do think this was a very well done second effort. I'll try to remove my sequel bias if I can. Or maybe I'll give you both.
I'll say give me your personal one after the just
with the bias.
Critical.
Purely critical. I will give it a minus 1.5.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's very well done. Like I said, I did not enjoy the narrative as much as the first film. The villain performance was absolutely spectacular, as we've talked about too much. And I don't think he was... It can be distracting when you have an actor that's better than everyone else, but I think everyone else's performances rose to that. And I don't think of... At least I haven't seen enough of Chris Pine to call him a great actor, but I think from what I've seen, he delivered from like what I said, or from what you were saying, from what I expect a film of that type to be a blockbuster. Yeah. I didn't want any more or any less from that performance. Yeah. And, along with everyone, Sulu and Spock and, all this, it was all well acted. But, so I think a minus 1.5. And removing the bias, I would say probably a minus 1.
You'd put it up there.
It's a minus 1 with just looking at it
as a body of work.
As an original body of work, if just going in, not seeing the other film or whatever. Yeah.
Because that's what I always try and do, even though I know the bias is going to be there. Yeah. Everyone's going to have the bias. So, I'll probably start really doing that now, giving what I think of the body of work and then what I personally think of the film.
I know I think if I had to rate the first one, I would probably put that as like a minus 0.3 or minus 0.4, somewhere along there.
Right. Would you say that's your personal one, or would you say that's your as a body of work one?
I would say both.
You going with both?
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see it. Yeah. Yeah, and I probably...
There wasn't a whole lot wrong with that. Like, I will... Yeah. I swear to you, if I have 20 minutes or something, and I hate most of television. Yeah. I will put in the Blu-ray of Star Trek and watch that opening scene. It is so well done. Yeah, and when the sound cuts out, and you just see the ships being destroyed and the mother screaming as she's in labor, but it's just no sound. It's beautiful. It's just I love that opening prologue.
I would say as a body of work is equal to, I think it's equal to what we saw. It's as equally well done. Yeah. But personally, I would either give it the minus 0.5 or minus 1. Just because I didn't enjoy it as much as the other one. I'm not sure why. Maybe I don't think I was too fond of the villain in the original one. I didn't think it was that... I can't say that well done, because Eric Bana is a good actor and he did well with it. I guess I just didn't... I didn't find that villain to be that really big or whatever. He just turned up in a giant ship and shot at the Enterprise.
Giant scary ship.
That's pretty
with
much
scary makeup and a bald head.
The ship is actually a better villain in that film than he is. He's just...
Well, to his credit, there was not many people that knew that was Eric Bana. Like,
true.
Like, they were like, oh, that was Eric Bana, Zero?
Yeah. He did... as I said, I can't say he did badly, because he did well. By that character, he did fantastically, but I
think it was a nice introduction into the new Star Trek world.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think Khan would have worked in the first one, because then the stakes are too high for a follow-up.
Well, and then it would be like, really just a genetically engineered superhero guy, whereas in this one you kind of go with it, I think. And, very quickly, going back to the cast list, it reminded me, the guy that Khan uses at the beginning to cause the explosion is played by a guy called Noel Clarke, who, for any fan of Doctor Who there, he was Mickey, the boyfriend of Rose in the original thing, and he's actually a really good director in his own right, and really good story writer. He did a whole bunch of things like Kidulthood, Adulthood, and a bunch of films taking place in another Attack the Block thing, like, the suburbs of London, the difficulties in growing up. Like, he came out of that and he made this fantastic career for himself. And so it was nice just to see him having this little role in this giant film.
Yeah.
And I didn't recognise him at first. It was only when he was then going down again, it was like, wait a minute, that's Mickey. What's Mickey doing here?
All right. I'd say let's move on to our Netflix recommendations. Paul, you want to go first?
All right. Well,
I bet it's something Britishy.
Well, wouldn't you know it is?
I knew that beforehand, folks. Sorry.
Yeah. My recommendation is A Bit of Fry and Laurie, which is a UK show from the 80s. I'm fairly certain I'm correct there. Starring Hugh Laurie, otherwise known as
House.
House. Gregory House.
Roadhouse.
And, yes, for those of you that didn't know and haven't figured it out by now, Hugh Laurie is British. He's just very good in House. And Stephen Fry, who a lot of people in America might not really know too well. He was the voice of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I know Philip J. Fry. Are they any relation?
No. I think Stephen Fry might actually take offence. Stephen Fry is pretty much seen as the sort of the lovey of the UK. He is what everyone in England wants to be, as it were.
Is he the Tom Hanks of the UK?
Kinda, yeah, actually.
America's sweetheart, he's UK's sweetheart.
Kinda, yeah.
See, I would think of Colin Firth as that, but
well, he's down to earth, but seems stupidly book smart. It is astonishing the amount that he knows. But coming from a fairly low class background, he ended up working his way into university at, I think, Oxford. I might be wrong, but I think him and Laurie went to Oxford, along with Emma Thompson, actually. And they ended up getting together and formed this partnership that brought out so many great things.
Gay. I'm just quoting Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah. All right, gay. Well, technically, Stephen Fry is gay.
And I did not know this. See, I don't know, so I was not saying anything.
Although he might say bisexual, maybe. He says he is also attracted to women, but men
didn't mean to. Yeah.
No, it's fine. He'd probably laugh at that as well. Obviously, Hugh Laurie is not.
No, that's a man.
They just had the bromance going there. But yeah, so it's a fantastic show. It's a lot of like little skits and stuff they do, along with sitting down,
sketch comedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of like fantastic lines that once you watch it, you'll end up having them in your head. And the only thing I will say,
Hugh Laurie do comedy,
he does as you would tell, a fantastic American accent. Mm-hmm. He can play the guitar, the piano. He can play.
You have a romance with Hugh Laurie. We understand.
It's just astonishing.
Nothing wrong with a man crush.
It's almost sickening how talented that guy is. It's like he's taken the talent from 3 other individuals, put them in himself. He's like, these are mine now. I'm good at this.
He's genetically engineered as well. We figured it out. All right.
But yeah, the only thing I will say is the 4th season of it, not necessarily.
Wow, that's a long run for a British show.
Yeah, they managed to get to 4 seasons, and unfortunately, the fourth season, I think the BBC came in and said, we want you to have guests. We would rather you have a musical thing here. So they altered the structure of the show.
Tinkered with it too much?
Yeah, I don't think it... I mean, there are some really good things in it, but I don't think it's as good as the other three. So if you only get to watch the first three, that's probably fine. But yeah, definitely give it a shot.
All right. Good recommendation. All right, I'm going to go with a show that I'm a little disappointed I didn't catch when it originally aired. I know they usually do films, but hey, it's Netflix. Let's see. I've either seen most of the films on Netflix or they're mostly shit.
Not a lot of films that are not too well known and good have come out recently.
I've seen it if I've had a desire to see it or desire to see it already. But anyway, this was a show that aired in 2011 on the Sci-Fi Channel, or Sci-Fi now.
Yes, Sci-Fi.
Before they went and changed their stupid spelling. But it's called Prophets of Science Fiction, and it's I don't know what I would say, a documentary style or whatever. There's 8 episodes, and it begins with Mary Shelley, who is credited with starting the genre of science fiction with her novel Frankenstein. And I've only seen this one episode, but I can see where it's going, and I can see how it's produced, and it's very well done. Right. And, it mixes reenactments, animation, talking head interviews with experts of that particular field that person dealt with in their works. And
please tell me there's no, in the sake of balance, interviews where they go from the expert to someone that just happened to have the opposite point of view.
No, I don't believe so.
No, just the experts.
It all just kinds of
side.
supports.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one of the experts is Mikio Kaku. I don't think I'm saying that right. He's like a physicist. He's in like the universe shows and very like gray hair and very, very fascinating person to listen to. And it's narrated by Jonathan Adams, who does a lot of great voiceover work. Yeah. Very well done. You got H.G. Wells that I'm looking forward to, Isaac Asimov, Jules Verne,
I think
Philip K. Dick. Philip K. Dick is the next one. I'm really excited to see that one. But yeah, it just kind of goes into the plausibility of what they wrote about, which all great science fiction, you have to base it on science of the times, and then you expand on that. And you let your mind go, where could this go from here? Yeah. And which is kind of what Mary Shelley did with Frankenstein, because there were recent electricity experiments going on at the time where I think they were animating dead frog flesh or something with electricity. So that was kind of the jumping point. Yeah. That we are electricity, but it's very, very interesting. I love science fiction, so looking forward to watching the rest of those.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching any of them.
Fair enough, sir.
There we go.
All right, I think that's going to be our time for you today.
Yeah, although I just found a note that I wrote that I never brought up. Do you think Simon Pegg had rather pink lips during that film?
I did not expect this question.
I know. But
wow.
I was watching it, I think especially when he was in the scene where he's arguing with Kirk about I will not let these weapons on board without looking at them. And maybe it was the IMAX thing of just being big and on the screen, but I was like, those lips are stupidly pink. This is ridiculous.
Maybe he borrowed Zoe Saldana's lip gloss before the scene. Maybe he was feeling a bit dry, and yes, I don't know. I will not say I noticed it, so I have no comment on that, sir.
I did actually attempt to get a response from Mr. Simon Pegg.
Still waiting, huh?
Yeah, still waiting.
Okay. I would not hold your breath.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that will be our time.
Yes. I think we might have to end it there.
All right, I've been Brian.
And I've been Paul.
We'll see you next time, folks.
Bye.